All right. Today we're going to be finally going over the state of the loot chest. Now we have the interaction button set up and we have our custom loot chest model that we made during the extra content video I uploaded. I can also link it down below if you've missed it. But now what we need to do is essentially make some sort of a state system for the loot chest. And how that would basically work is that each state will do different type of actions. Now perhaps the chest is in the idle state, then that has its own actions that it does, and that could be like showing off some particle VFX, some sound effects, and visual identity. So basically the look and feel of the chest, and the holdable interaction prompt. Oh, just to note, also the visual identity is just to like, if a player sees the chest, they know it's a loot chest and they will try to go closer to it. Based on the idle state, we have the holdable interaction prompt, and let's say we are holding it, so we're pressing the interact button, or holding the interact button, and then we have a boolean, so we can check if it's successful, no, go back to idle state. If yes, go from the idle state to the animation state. So here we can say interaction successful, VFX, SFX starts playing, and then we have the chest slightly open just to visually showcase to the player that the interaction is successful. And then for the animation state, I believe for this video we're going to use a timeline to make the animation. It's a bit manual, so we won't be using any skeleton rigging or any of those more advanced stuff for the simple chest. We're just gonna make it as simple as possible. And then once it's in the open state, so the animation finishes, we spew out a bunch of gold fairy dust VFX similar to the Stellar Blade chest, and the loot drop will be also similar to the Stellar Blade video I showcased in the second video, which is sort of like a half sine pulse behavior, I believe, if that's the right way to say it. So it's not a, let's see, it's not really going up, then down, and then lower, and then up. It's mostly just starting point, it goes up, and then it goes to its end point. So that's the behavior we're going to try to make. And then during that behavior, we're probably going to disable a bunch of properties within the pickups. And for the loot chest, we will just make it so it's not interactable again. Okay, so we've gone ahead and used the noteflight.com website to just make a very simple note, and this note will essentially be the sound we're going to use for the pickup. So every time you pick up an object, it will play some sort of sound, and then depending on how many pickups you do, for now we'll just go with like 5 pickups. It will play 5 different notes. Now I've done this pretty simply. Just want to showcase an example. So if I press play, you'll see the intention behind it. So every time you pick something up, it's a note, and then for each and every pickup afterwards, as long as it's after another, it will go into a higher note, then higher and higher and higher again. So let's hear how that sounds. Okay, so that'll be perfect for this setup. You can go ahead and make whatever sound you like for the pickups. I'm just gonna keep using this for now. I'll also leave the website link in the description in case you want to check Notefly out for yourself. Yeah, so right now I'm in the Lyra Starter Game project, and for this purpose, I'm just going to steal a couple of sound effects because they have a lot of high quality sound waves that we can use. I'll also leave a file in the description that has these files so you can directly download them instead of downloading the Lyra project yourself and looking after these files. So what I'm mainly looking for are firstly the whoosh sound effects, and this will mostly be used for the pickups when they come out of the loot chests. So we need some sort of cue of when they're trying to jump out of the loot chest, and that would be the whoosh sound effect that looks promising to use. So it goes kind of like this. That's what we're going to be using. So I'll select these whoosh sound effects, and I'll go into asset action and then export. Go into music, and I'll name them after the project name to make it a bit more structured. So LCT sound effects. And then in here, I'll make a new folder and call it pick up whoosh. Save them inside of this folder. And for the chest, I'll be using the Lyra ring loop sound effect, which basically we'll use for the chest idle state. So whenever you're close to the chest, you'll be able to hear some sort of sound coming from a distance, and it'll be a loop similar to this sound effect. And I think that would be pretty good to use as the indication of a chest being nearby. So even if you cannot see it, you can at least hear that there is a chest nearby. So I'll also go into asset actions, export, and then into the sound effects folder, and let's make a new folder. Let's call it chest idle loop, and let's save it here. For the pickups that drop on the ground after their animation is finished, we also need some sort of sound effect that indicates, okay, now you can be able to pick them up. So what I found was the closest sound that was pretty handy to use was the Lyra footstep glass, which sounds like this. I'm going to use that to indicate that the item is dropped on the ground. I'll select all the way up to the glass R03. Right click, asset action, export, and let's make a new folder again, call it pickup drop. Save them inside of this folder. And for the chest interaction, when it's successful, we'll be using this sound, Lyra end of round tick, which sounds pretty good as an indicator. So we'll also export it. So asset, export, and let's call it test interaction. And the folder, and let's save it. And for the particles, I will be using the death cubes to indicate the pickups being picked up. And if we look into the death cubes, sort of looks like this, a bit chaotic, but we can obviously remake it a bit to fit the pickups a bit more. And we'll also be going to take the gun pad, which looks like this. This is mostly going to be used while they're on the ground to let the player know there is a pickup here, to make it more visible. And lastly, I'll take the NS jump pad. Now this one is a bit hard to see, but essentially, if it's even viewable, it has a bunch of particles spewing out in the beginning. So we'll be using that for the chest when we fully open it. I think those three will be perfect. So I think those three will be pretty handy to use. So choosing the jump pad, the gun pad, and the death cube, we can right click as action, and we can, instead of exporting, we can directly migrate to a project as well. So don't really need a lot of this. So we'll disable the function, the instance, mannequin, meshes, rigs, mannequin textures, physics material. We don't need any of those. Well, let's keep actually everything within effects as active. Now I'm a bit unsure of what is and is not referenced within these Niagara effects. So we'll choose all of them and we'll press OK, and let's find our project. That's a T, and all we need to check is the content folder, and then select folder, and we'll migrate everything. I'll also be including these effects within the video description, so feel free to grab them. Okay, so back in the project, let's quickly edit the loot chest appearance to what we created recently. If you haven't followed along on the previous video, we went ahead and created a custom loot chest to be able to manipulate later on the blueprints. I'll leave a link in the description for that video as well, so feel free to check it out if you want. Okay, so inside the loot chest blueprint, we want to change the loot chest static mesh. Now heading over to the blueprints folder, chest folder, you can see that I've made a new folder called mesh, and within here I have all my chest meshes that I need to use. So what I'm going to do is to delete the current static mesh, and let's rename them a bit better. So let's call this one chest body and chest lid, bind, and then the chest corner support, bind, and the middle part combined, but let's remove all these extra numbers. Okay, it looks a lot better. Now let's put in the chest body underneath the box, and well, actually we could do even more. Is that we'll add a scene component here, and we'll make that the parent, just so that the box collision doesn't interfere with the scale of the mesh. And now we can go ahead and place the chest within the scene. We can place the corner supports within the scene as well, and the lid and the chest middle part. Okay. What I'll do is I'll keep the chest body here as the parent. I will take the corner support. I'll just paste it correctly. So I'll change the snapping to 10. Okay, and now the middle part. And then the lid. Here we have our chest. So for the middle part, I will actually make that the parent for both the corner support and the middle part. And now if we move the main body, all of it follows. And for the lid, we'll keep it as is because we're going to animate it and we don't want to have any childs attached to it so that we can freely open it and close it however we want. Now we can actually go into the static mesh loot chest that we had before and scroll all the way down into the collision. We'll right click it and we'll copy all properties in the category, and we'll select all the new chest static meshes, and we'll right click the collision field and we'll paste all properties in category. Just look at what we had. So it's custom, and then the only difference part is we are ignoring the camera. Okay, that's pretty easy to fix, so let's just select all. I will ignore the camera. Okay, and now if we select the scene, let's see, just put a arrow so we know which way is forward. Let's increase the size. That's forward. Let's select the new chest. Let's put it in line with the old static mesh. So it's pretty good. Let's put 50. Middle. 5. Okay, so that seems to be in the middle of the arrow. We can delete the chest. And we can also drag these static meshes a bit backwards. This should be good. Looks to be in the middle. Let's deattach the UI, the collision. And let's face it forward with the chest. So, and for the hold button, what we could do actually is mix it up a bit. As you might have probably seen, I'm not the best when it comes to uh, common UI. So let's try to do it a bit more proper this time. So we'll reset the scale, and then if we scroll down into space, we'll select screen, and then draw size. Let's maybe half it or half it again, and then copy paste it to both of those fields. So check how it looks. Okay, so a reason, if you like now, go up with it, press end. A reason why that happens is because the pivot is pretty much in the middle of the chest. So we would need to raise the chest to be approximately in line with the pivot in the blueprint. So we'll fix that soon. I just want to check the button, how it looks. Still pretty big, but now it also faces the player wherever we are, which is pretty cool. Let's solve it again. Okay. I think the size is pretty okay to work with now. Okay, so if we select chest parts and drag it up by 50, let's see where it ends up. Almost on the pivot, I think, just because I use the 1 snappings or the 5 snappings kind of out of place. So let's try to fix that quickly. Yeah, 5 was a bit too much, so I used 1. So 1 on the snapping. Let's increase it like 1, 2, perhaps. See. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can get any better than this. We could even try to press end. And it looks to be on the ground now. Yeah. Okay. And let's compile, save, and then we can delete the arrow. We just had it for reference. Now we can change up the size of the box again. We'll do it a bit more proper as well. Let's double the size of the box extent. 64, 64, 64. And let's put this one 80. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So now the chest looks like that, and the collision looks pretty good. Let's fix up the hold button, because now it's within the chest. We want it to be a bit upwards, maybe a bit more down, so that. Okay, I think that's pretty much enough. We can also do another thing, is if we add a sphere perhaps, could add a sphere. Let's add a, let's just call this one. Interaction collision fiction. Let's add a new one. We'll call it, let's take a sphere collision, and let's unparent it. We'll call it player UI detection, or just player detection collision. And this one, on the new collision, we can size the sphere up by ×4, or maybe a lot larger, times 5. ×5 was a bit too big, so let's Control Z, ×5. Oh, wait. So ×2, ×2, ×2 again. Oh, for any more times. Before we make the sphere even larger, let's just center it a bit more. Like so. And let's time it by 2 again, and 2 again. Okay. For the collision, we want to put it as custom, but let's ignore everything except a physics body and a pawn. So within the event graph, we can, on construction, I'll delete the sync load. We'll get to sync load a bit later. But within the construction, we can say hold button, and then we'll actually know. Let's delete that because we already have a reference with winteract. I'm gonna just try to let's see if we put the hold button as visible, set visibility. Let's see on begin play if we set the visibility for the hold button, if it actually works, or if we need to use the winteract reference. New visibility, yes, and cast. Alright, so it pretty much hides everything, which is good. Cool. You might also wonder what the hell is happening. Why is the character going through? And if we take a look, we can see that within the console command, we can type show collision. I think you need to actually play first, and then go into console command and search for show collision. The box doesn't have a collision. We never get blocked by it at all. We could fix it in 2 different ways. You could either a pretty ugly way is to add a new collision box very tightly on the chest that only blocks the player. But what I'm gonna do is actually open up the chest body. And I will look for the collision tab. Actually, from lit to player collision. There is none. Visible collision. There we have it. But let's see the actual collision for it. Block all, simple and complex. So it's not really seeing any collisions. What we do is we could go into collision, and there is this auto complex collision. Let's apply and see what we get. So it's not the greatest, but it is something at least. If we go into player collision, this is sort of what it looks like. I mean, I can live with this. It's not an issue. So I'll just press save, close, and go into these as well. It could be a bit more trickier. Where instead of convex hull, because if you use convex hull on an object like that has a lot of empty space, what will happen? Oh, never mind. So for the box, we've made a convex. We've generated a convex collision. For the chest support pillar, we could do the same and just apply or drag down auto convex. I believe I already did it for these pillars. Yes. And chest support. Let's just see what happens if we apply. Yeah, I guess it's not the best, but it's better than nothing. And lastly, the middle part. I wonder if it will actually do it perfectly, even if there is a hole in the middle. Pretty good, I think. Let's go into player collision. I mean, obviously not the best result, but it works out. Quick and dirty. So back into the chest blueprint. File and save. Now, I believe we have the collision set to block the player. It will block the player, and as well as the visibility. If we have it to block, the feet IK will also work. Let's take a look. We're blocked by the chest. And if we jump up, it's pretty good. Cool. So now let's go and fix the player detection collision. based on what I intended here. Let's connect the interact, because I actually didn't check if this worked or not because this pin was disconnected. Okay, so it does work. Good, good, good. We'll copy the hold button set visibility and then select the player detection collision. Scroll down. We have the on component begin overlap and end overlap. So we'll bring both of those in. Okay. Now this is a part where, yes, you could cast to the character, but then on every overlap we'll be casting to the character over and over again. Or maybe we had something similar to the GA Interact, where we store the reference but only cast once. We could do that as well, but there is something else we could do. Within the activate ability, and this is also a bit unfortunate because we could also send the character within the gameplay event data, but the problem with this is that the loot chest does not have access to the character within the overlap. So the point I'm trying to make is we have a giant sphere, and within this sphere, if the player walks in, you should be able to see the UI. If he walks out, the UI disappears. But the GA Interact has a fairly short trace distance. So if we go through the sphere, the chest won't have a reference to the character yet because we still haven't interacted with the chest. So until we've interacted with the chest, then this chest will have a reference to the character. And that is by if we drag the character inside of here. So that also won't work really well. It will have some issues. That's why I'm going to skip it. The simplest way would be to just cast to the character on begin play. So when you play the game, after we wait for the event to actor, or actually, let's clean it up. So we'll do the casting first, and then we'll wait for the gameplay event. So we'll store character reference as well within the loot chest. And for the cast to character, since this is mostly built for a single player game, we can work with the get player controller, or get player on. So the get player pawn node. That works pretty well. And in here, and now we can promote the character. Just rename it to character. And then hook it back to wait gameplay event to actor. And let's get the character. And we'll check other actor equal to character reference we have. Create a branch. And if true, we'll set the visibility to true on begin overlap. And we'll just copy paste this down here as well. So other actor. And if the player stops interacting, and if the player stops overlapping, we will disable visibility on the UI. So now if we go close, see the button, hold E. If we go out, it disappears. If we go in, it appears again. Okay. Okay, so back in the loot chest wait gameplay event to actor, we want to now reset it if we are not interacting with it. So we'll reset the hold button progress every time we hold interact. So within here, we can, or actually within the event tag, we can rename this hold time to something better. So we can interact hold time. So instead of the hold time, we will press the manage gameplay tags, and within the gameplay message interact hold time, we'll rename it to something like rest. And now we can close out of this. We can choose pressed instead. And within the GA interact, we can also choose pressed here and pressed on the gameplay event to actor as well. So we'll save that. Now we can delete this print string, put it a bit closer, and within the wait input release, we can now also send a new gameplay event to actor, because we still do have the reference. So when we do the interaction box trace, we can promote the hit actor to a variable. So now we can choose the hit actor instead and place it within the send gameplay event to actor, as well as the target for the make gameplay event data. And we can select everything, paste it up here, push the clear invalid time handler more to the right. Let's also drag pretty much everything a bit more downwards so we have a bit more space to play with. That. So bringing in what we just pasted recently and pasting it within the wait input release. So when we release, we should actually first clear and invalidate the timer, so we no longer have this loop going on and the traces won't fire, but we still have the reference here. And within the reference, we can say, instead of pressed for the interact, we can make a new subtag and call it released. Add the tag and choose released for both the gameplay event to actor and gameplay event data. And the event magnitude, we can disconnect it and just type 00 and connect it to the end ability. If you want to make it a bit more nice, we could also get the hit actor, or set the hit actor to an empty actor. Get the object reference. And this one will be pretty much empty, so we can set it with the empty actor. So we reset what's currently hit. So we don't want to reference it anymore until we actually interact with something new. So within the loot chest, what we could do here as well, we can remove the print string, apply the hold button progress. Here we could make a new wait gameplay event to actor. And when the event is received, we'll get the hold button progress, paste it in, and then we'll say okay, let's keep it a lot simpler. There was some issues with the timeline, and then if you spam it a couple of times, it gets stuck, and there's not really a good workaround as of now if you don't create a custom workaround to fix that issue yourself. But I think this could work pretty well as well. So we wait gameplay event to actor, we update the current hold duration, and then if we release, we simply just set the hold button progress to 0, so no animation at all. And even with that, I think it still performs pretty good. We can, of course, keep spamming it. Works as intended. If we go out and then back in, it works. So I'm just gonna keep using this setup. Also in the W-interact, let's remove all these extra nodes here. So the print string, the set percent, I will only keep the set percent node. So just to recap, on wait gameplay event to actor, we have pressed tag, and within the GA interact for the wait input press, we are sending the interact press for both the event data and the event to actor. And for the wait input release, we are sending to the actor interact release and the event data interact release. Another thing to note is that the event magnitude needs to be at 0. So we don't need to send the hold time. We just want to reset it to 0. And then within the loot chest, we have the wait gameplay event to actor, and so now we're listening. So after we're waiting, so while we're waiting, we'll also listen for the release. And when we release, this will not fire anymore because we've released. And we will listen to gameplay message interact released. And that will reset the UI for us. So now that we have done that, let's clean up a bit. Let's comment this. Listens for wait input press. Wait input press hold. It's colored as well, so I'll go with my usual black color. I'll call this one the initial setup. And let's comment the overlaps to show and hide UI based on player distance. It's colored also to black, and right under event play, you will comment this as well. We'll paste and we'll listens for wait input. These resets UI float value, and then in here we can say updates UI float value. And then from here, then we can create a custom event. Let's create one under custom event, and let's call it interaction successful. And within this event, what we want to do is to go into the wait gameplay event to actors. We are checking. We can also get the current hold duration. Get it. We can check if it's equal to the desired hold duration. Since we're setting the current hold duration, we're sending it to the UI. We can also make a variable for the max hold. So promote to variable, and let's call it max hold duration. And the value should be 1. And let's drag it in. So if the current hold duration is equal to the max hold duration, then we make a branch. And if it's true, we'll print string hold duration met. And make it 5 seconds so we can see it clearly. We'll hold for a second. And we have met the hold duration. So what if I spam it a bit and then hold it? Still works. Right. You can also make a Boolean here. So only trigger once. So this chest within the game, once it opens up, we don't want it to be interactable again. So only trigger once. We'll promote it to a variable. And let's compile save. And by default, it's false. But we can set it once it's true. So now, if we successfully interact with it, we shouldn't be able to interact with it again. Oops, that something is wrong here. Okay, it would seem that the wait gameplay event to actor doesn't really listen to this once it's gone to event received. So it will never go back to here. We could make a workaround easily by just removing this boolean. Oh, cancel. Yes, remove. You can check the interaction collision detection. And we see that it is interactable. Drag it in. We will change the collision presets, or actually we can say set collision by enable it, and we'll set to no collision. So the collision here, we can say it's set to collision enabled, query and physics, but we'll remove both the query and the physics. So hopefully we're not able to interact with it anymore. Nice. Once we're not able to interact with it anymore, kind of get stuck because we've held the press all the while the UI went to 1 and we never released. So this wait gameplay event to actor never actually fired. So we can also manually again copy paste the hold button progress. Well, we don't really actually need to do that. We can just set the UI to invisible because we only want to interact with it once. We can leave the state as it was. So we can get the hold button to, so W hold button, set visibility, copy it, paste it here. Now we interact, or we can also print string here. So we know that it is working. Print string, interaction completed. Holding E, interaction completed. Nice. So now the box should open. We cannot interact with it anymore. So now that this is done, we can let the chest do its logic. So interaction successful. We will call the interaction successful event. And we can drag this event down here. Let's play a bit with it. So while it's successful, we need to add a timeline. And let's call this timeline test open. So this one will be a flow track. And let's put the length to 1. 2 here. Set the first to 0, 0. We can also call the track rename. Test off open. And then other node to 1, 1 value. And let's curve it a bit. So while selecting everyone, so holding control and then left clicking at these points, right click, and set it to auto. So we have a nice curve. So within here, we can also rename this. So chest half open. With an update, we will get the chest lid container or the chest lid lock combined. We will drag it in. Now, since it is opening, let us disable its collision. So disable or get collision enabled or set collision enabled to no collision, because we don't really want the player to jump on it and act weirdly during the animation. So when it opens, the player can still jump on the box, but it will go through the lid because it's doing its animation, and we don't want it to interact with the player during that process. Let's copy it again, and within the update, set rotation, set relative rotation, and let's and then dragging from the chest half open, let's search for R Interp 2 and let's hook that up. So the animation starts. Its current would be its current value. So the rotation is 0, 0, 0. But we also want the target to be, see if we rotate it to the Y. Let's see how much we want. So the indication should be 1. It's open, and it plays the open sound. And then there we can make a new animation. So just double checking. So 10. Okay. So it rotates by 10. So get rotation. Get relative rotation. And let's split it. And for the pitch, we'll add 10 to its value. And for the interpolation speed, we can just say 1. Add too much. Okay, so we need to also get the relative location, relative rotation, and just set it into here. And to be extra safe, we'll leave the X and C value as is, and the chest half open. And the chest half open float from the timeline, put it into the delta time, and the speed, we can just search for delta time, get for delta seconds, put this one in here. And now if we press play, we hold the interaction. It's a bit very cool. And here we can put our open sound effects. Okay, getting back to this, I just realized a mistake. We're currently using two smoothing functions on top of each other. So the delta time are interp2 and the timeline as well. We could simplify it by a lot if we just delete them. We will delete that as well, and the relative location will just keep one relative location. So if we open up chest half open, we can set on the other pin, we can set the value to 10, and it will give us the same results as we had before. We just make rotator from the timeline float. Rotator will put it inside the pitch, and we'll set the relative rotation X and C as default, and we'll place that into the new rotation. So and it essentially does the exact same thing. So once this is finished, I actually want to play a sound. No, actually, the sound comes in here. So let's put these a bit more forward. And let's say play sound after disabling collision. As a reminder, let's put it as red. And then on finish, what we're going to do is we're going to make a new timeline. So after this timeline, another timeline, because now we're going to actually open the chest. So after it's played the chest interaction successful, unlocks sound, it unlocks slightly, then we go and from finish to play on a new timeline, and then chest half open to chest, let's rename the timeline here to chest full open. And the value would be, since we already have it as 10, let's see, we want the value to be at I think that should be enough. So at the value of 50, let's close it, save, and graph, and let's rename this timeline as well. So chest full open. Let's double click it, and for the value, we can type 50, and the starting value should be 10 because we will be starting at 10, not 0. Otherwise, we will essentially ruin this timeline altogether because it finishes at 10 and we want to start at 10. So let's take a look. It's up, and then it's up fully. We could also prolong this animation a bit. I think 5 should be better. Let's see where at the time. The second node should be 5. Go. So instead of 1 second, it's 1.5 seconds for the first animation. bit slower, and then faster. So now we have this timeline going at a duration of 1.5 seconds, and this timeline going at a duration of 1 second. So when this animation plays, let's drag it a bit forward here. We want to double click the spaghetti line and add a comment here. Let's make it a bit bigger and say play, say spawn chest dust. Let's put it red as well. Let's make it even. I think it's that color. Yeah. So we know that we're going to play a certain VFX. Okay, and now when it is fully open, we will type reroute, and here we'll type spawn pickups. But this is where the pickups would go. For the pickups, and then the SFX for the pickups as well. Okay. So let's do just that. All right, so let's begin with the play sound after disabling collision. What we're going to utilize here is the gameplay queue, and if we scroll down a bit, no, upwards here. So gameplay queue, execute gameplay queue on actor, and for the target, we are setting it to self. Parameters, let's make a gameplay queue parameter, and right for here, let's see what we can do. Are we able to search for target? I think the best way is just to add a new scene. We can say this is for the gameplay queue off open. And let's put it here in the middle, I believe would be good. Maybe a bit more upwards. So a bit more upwards in the chest. Like that, so it's more visible to the player. What we can do now is to drag in the gameplay queue hop open. We can get location, relative location, and place it here. Or we can get the world location for implementation. Drag it into here. And we don't need anything else. The gameplay queue tag should, however, be gameplay queue. Let's add a subtag. Let's call it chest or loot chest. Select the default gameplay ini, add new tag, and we can add a new subtag, call it off open. Select new tag, off open. Okay, so once we have set this up, we can connect it to the play. And let us go into the content folder, into effects. Now we have a bunch of Lyra effects. We can create a new folder, call it gameplay queue notifies. And in here, we can create a new blueprint and call it, or search for gameplay queue. Let's use the gameplay queue notify burst and call it GCN burst. There's chest off. Save it, open it up. And here, let's put the off open tag. And if you expose the GCN effects, you can see the burst effects, and you have the burst particles and the burst sound. Now, what we're going to play here is just the, if you go into the effects, and if I can find the sound we just imported. Sorry, my mistake. So in the content, the effects, these are the Lyra VFX we imported. So we can keep the folder GCN. We can just rename the chest from half open to full open. And we can leave this for now. We can also remove the tag we added. Let's control save. So we're going to create a new folder. We have the textures and effects into content. Inputs, little prototype, third person variants. We don't have anything specifically for sound, so we can add a new folder, call it SFX. Click, and now let's import the sounds we have. The music, you see, these are all the sounds we currently have. So here we have the chest idle loop. We can rename it to LTC chest idle loop. And separate it to make it easier to find in Unreal. And then we can go to chest interaction, rename it to LTC interaction. So then into the pickup drop. Okay, I'll speed this process up because it's the same approach for everything. I'll speed this process up because it's the same approach to everything, just renaming it. Since that is done, I will create some new folders, and I'll call this folder chest idle loop, another folder for chest interactions successful, and one more for pick up rock, and another one for pick whooshes. Okay, so now I'll just import these sound files in. It's just a matter of dragging and dropping it. I can showcase it also right here. So if I go into the SFX interaction successful, bring up my sound folder. So just dragging the file and then putting it inside. So I'll do this for each and every one. Okay, so now this is done. We could do inside of here, we could check, we could make it a bit more randomy by doing the following. So for example, if I go into a bit larger, so for example, this right here, the pickup drop, or actually since we're doing the chest opening, let's just focus on that. So just interaction successful. This one, we can create a meta sound source. I think the short naming for this is either MSS or MS. I'm gonna go with MS just for meta sounds. Underscore interaction successful. Okay, let's open it. So in here, we can create a new input of type wave asset, and we can then select our interaction successful wave asset, place it in here. So what we'll do now is to drag our input, so we can call it as well the interaction successful. Drag that in, and we can drag the pin off of it to search for shuffle. Or no, we don't even need to shuffle because it's not an array. We can just search for the wave layer. Now I'm not super experienced with what is best to choose here. I'll just go with the 2.0 stereo, and then on finished, I'll place it in the on finished, and the out left into the out. No, actually, we'll multiply that. Change the, I guess there's one step left to do. Let's hook the input into play, and then let's put a new node here. Search for random float, and let's put maybe minimum to 8 and the maximum to 10. Let's place it within the pitch shift. Let's put a new random float. Place the minimum to 0.5 and maybe the other one to 0.9. I believe now we can multiply by audio float. Put that on the out left and this one into out mono. Let's see how this sounds. Let's save it. This is how the default one sounds. And this is how the meta sounds. You can obviously just change the float values. Maybe you want it to start at 0, and maybe the maximum you want to start at 20, and the minimum as well, like 0 and maybe 2. I'll keep mine, I believe, to the first random to 0 to 1, and this one maybe 0 to 0.5. Be a bit higher, so 0, minimum to 1, maximum 2. Let's decrease it, so 0.5 to 0.9. Let's increase this one instead, so 1 to 2. Okay. Could do maybe 5, maybe just 10 to 11. Let's see how that sounds. That sounds a bit better, like something that has just been unlocked. So let's use that. Now we can close out of the meta sound and go back to SFX. Let's create a new folder here instead and call it GCN. And a new blueprint class of type gameplay view, and choose the one we did before. So on burst, select GCN, burst, chest half open. Let's open it up, and now in the gameplay queue, we can choose the do chest half open, and the burst sound, we will choose the meta sound, so ms underscore interaction successful. And the patient scale. Check the placement info, socket name, touch to target, attachment rule, keep world, snap to target. Let's close that. Default spawn condition, instigator actor. Instigator actor. So just reading back on it, attach policy. So we'll attach to the target, attachment rule snap to target, and the default spawn condition, locally controlled source, instigator actor. Try it out, close out of it. instigator. Let's send the instigator as well. So this is the not the instigator, but this is the instigator. We can also say target attached scene component object reference. So maybe if we place the gameplay queue half open scene component to here, it will attach to it. So let's try it out and see how it plays. Nice. It's pretty good. Okay, so now we have that figured out. We can remove the comment. And then here, spawn chest.vfx, we can execute a new burst. Let's hook this up to here. And it to be a line. Make the comment a bit bigger. And then from the on burst to play the animation. Here we can add a new tag, add sub tag, and we can say full open, add tag, choose the full open for the other timeline animation, and we could pretty much do the same here. The half open. Gameplay queue. Location. Let's rename that because we're going to use it for both the timelines. It makes sense that both of them start at this location. So gameplay queue location. In the location, and the instigator as self, and let's attach the effects as the target location for gameplay queue location. Let's make a new gameplay queue. We can also just copy paste this and call it full open. No, my bad. Let's delete it because we already have the full open in the VFX, and this will be a VFX burst. So let's go into effects, GCN, burst just full open, the one we made but never used. That's the full blueprint, and here instigator actor, locally controlled source. Oh, actually, so not the target actor. We should choose the instigator actor. Let's change that for the other GCN as well. Go back to the SFX GCN burst. Okay, so it is the instigator actor. Good. So I accidentally closed my chest. Put it up. So in the gameplay queue tag, let's choose the chest full open and the burst particles. Expand that. Placement info override. Spawn condition override. We'll put the target actor. And for the placement override, attach policy, attach to target, keyword, snap to target. Um, and then should it be okay? And then here in the burst effect, we scroll down, we can see the Niagara system. And here we can choose, go into the effects folder that the GCN is in. We can go into the filter Niagara system. We can see here the, I believe it was the jump pad effects. Yes, so it kind of has like a cool dusty effect to it. So we will choose it, choose the jump pad. We will place it inside of here. The loot chest seems fine. Let's try it out. Doesn't seem to spawn it. Okay, so I fixed the issue with the particle spawn. So all you would need to do is just to have the locally controlled source as the instigator actor, and within the default placement info, just keep everything as default. In the GCN effects, however, keep this as default, so uncheck the spawn condition override. Within the placement info override, keep the attach policy to attach target and attachment rule keep world. And I will also do this for the other GCN for the SFX. So the same layout. Blueprint. Okay, and this is the sound effect for the off open state. We have the instigator, everything set to default, and then the placement attached to actor, keep world. There we go. Compile and save. Close the sound effects. And for the particles, I've actually gone ahead and not used the jump pad. So if I go into the show in folder view, I've created another particle called chest full open. And you can just pretty much search for particle or sorry, Niagara system and choose the fountain. So the fountain template. I'll just call mine nest test because I already created one. You can go into here and you can say you want the shape location to not use a sphere, or sorry, the shape location could be a sphere. You'd say maybe it's 30 in size or 40 in size. You can remove the cone here, be -10. Yeah. Could maybe go -30. Put the sphere location to maybe bigger, like 100, to get this sort of effect. And you can also change the color was initial particle. So here, I put mine personally to blue, and that should be pretty okay to use. So just call it ns underscore chest full open. So we can go back into the loot chest and just place the gameplay queue where it was, because I did a little bit of testing to see if it was working or not. Let's control save. Yep. And also the reason why I didn't use the jump pad from the Lyra was just because it uses the skeletal as like the character skeletal as reference, but I do not want that. I do not need that. I just want a couple of particles to work with. So now if we press E and hold, when it opens, it gives us some particles. Nice. Okay, so now that we have the particles done for the chest full open, delete this comment. We could keep it, actually. Let's keep the comment and comment it spawn chest dust VFX. Spawn chest full open VFX. Let's color it here. Let's put this forward. Let's comment. Call this spawn chest off open SFX, because it's just the sound. That. So now that it is open, the animation is complete. What we'll do is to work with the pickups. Oh, I just noticed something. We scroll back here. We see that so we are disabling the interaction collision. We are disabling the hold button. But if you can see here, the clear detection collision is still functional, and it will always detect the layer and put the hold button on and off. We don't really want that to keep triggering. So what we could do, we can get the layer detection collision, and here we could say before set visibility, set collision, enable it to no collision. So now I could also show before then, like if we do not have it. Save, play, we hold, we release, and then go out. Then we go in again. We can see that the prompt shows up again. So let's connect this back in again. And let's try it out again. Back out. Going back in again. And the prompt no longer shows up. Awesome. Right, so I've noticed the video has become rather long. Didn't really expect that, but I'll try to cover most of the remaining parts in the next video. and also some fixes here and there that I've noticed after watching back the video. So I'll see you in the next video.